Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start with the second module of your syllabus. So the second module says about the field area primitives, graphic primitives, and attributes. So now let's see what you mean by the field area primitives. Okay. So these are some overview of your primitives. So how to use the primitives and all. Already we have done some small programs where we have used some basic primitives and we saw how it's working, right? So similar things we are going to use here also. We are going to see how exactly the field area primitives are going to be utilized and how we are going to give the attributes. Okay, so some basic graphics primitives, as you can see here, we have that is like points, lines, and polygons. So these graphical primitives already we have used, and we have some basic attributes in the sense how you are going to define the graphical primitives. That is the meaning of your attributes. So I can define my line in terms of the line width or line height or the color or the width, anything. Okay, so when you are going to define any of the graphics primitive, that is known as your attributes. So we are going to see the more depth into the attributes also. So now here you can see this is just a small program which you have already done. We have already practiced many programs. So I'll just go through this because it comes under your primitives. So I have to go through this. Here you can see always whenever we will start writing any of the program, we have to start with the GL begin and we have to end with the GL end. Okay, and if I want to do the line program, then I supposed to write the primitive, that is your GL underscore lines, right? So here the GL begin, you have to start and go through your GL lines. You can write down here GL points, GL triangles, GL squares, pentagon, hexagon, octagon, or if you want to specify all together in one name, you can write down as polygon. Okay, so all these things you are going to write. Then you have to define your vertices, how many, like what are the geometrical informations you want to give for your specific primitive. You are going to give it over here. Okay, so how we are going to give the vertices names? We have to utilize GL vertex star. Then the parameters you are going to pass. How many you are going to write down the vertex point, that depends on you. So how this star I have given in the sense, I just want to define it in detail. So here I have written it. So here instead of star, I can write 2, I can write 3, I can write 4. So this 2, 3, 4 in the sense it can be a 2D image, a 2D, or it can be a 3D image, or it can be a 4D image. Okay. And again, what all are the parameters I can pass? That is ISFD, I for your integer, short, float, and double. Fine. So if I want to write this instance, how I'm going to write down? I have to specify like GL vertex. Let's take it as for example of 2D image. So I have to write 2. Fine. So if it will be an integer type, write down as I. Then inside the bracket, you have to pass your parameters. So let me pass like 100, 25. So this is a way of writing your the functions, the OpenGL output functions. Fine. So remember one thing, whenever you will write in your exam, whenever you are giving whenever you are giving any example in your exam time, so that time you first you write down the syntax, okay, like this, then you give the example. So it will carry some, because syntax always carries 1 or 2 marks, as you already know, so easily you can get that marks. So if you write like that, first you write down the syntax over here. I'll just write and show you. I'll just write down and show you here. So just write down here, it is as syntax. Okay. So this is my syntax. Now what I'm going to do after this, I just want to give my example. So same thing you can write down as your example in below. So same thing you're going to follow it up. So it is very easy to remember also, right? So this way you are going to write down. Fine. So moving towards the next slide here. Okay. So now here you can see we have some point and line primitives. So if I have a number of points or a sequence of points, I am going to utilize the primitive as GL underscore points. Okay. Similarly, for your line segments, you are going to use GL underscore lines. One is one vertex point, two is another vertex point. If you want to go for your GL line strip, that is known as your polylines, so you can utilize 1 2 3 4 like this, and you have to specify the vertex name accordingly, so your line strip will display in your output screen properly. If you want to go for your line loop, you have to use GL underscore line underscore loop, so it will give you the closed polylines. Okay, it looks like this. So now we will just check it out, the fill area primitives. Okay, how we are going to fill the area, that is the meaning of this. What kind of primitives we are going to use if I want to fill the circle, or if this is, you can see, you can say that it can be a polyline, right? Closed polyline. Maybe I have used the GL line loop here. So now how I'm going to give the how I'm going to fill the area. So for that also we have some fill area primitives. Okay, so this fill area primitives can be utilized for your point, for your line, or for any kind of your curves. So you can see this is a kind of your curve, right? So here also you can fill the area. So normally whenever we will write all these things, instead of writing the triangles, instead of writing the any other like square or rectangle, directly I can write down that polygons. So here normally I'm going to use the polygons. Okay. Next thing is I'm going to here use that 2D shapes if I want, or on your 3D objects. That depends on you how you are going to write down. Now here you see I have some fill area primitives, which is again the different way. Okay, so here I have the two things. There is a planar and there is a curved surface. Okay, so if I want to use the planar, I have to go for the face, and if I want to use the curve, then I have to go in terms of my patch. So there are two different names which we are going to use it. So this fill area primitives, it will be approximatized on your curved surface. Okay. And remember, you may get the Viva question, the difference between the surface and the plane. So there is a difference between the surface and plane. Surface in the sense, whatever now you can see on my screen, everything is surface. There will be no limit on the space. But the planar will be limited space in a surface. Okay. So always the plane will be on your surface. Got it? So that you have to remember the difference between your surface and the plane. Fine. So here how I'm going to calculate my planar on face, and how I'm going to calculate on my curve, I have to go through my patch. Okay. So there are many kind of your surfaces. We used to call it as your surface mesh, or also we used to call it as your surface tessellations. Okay, so these are like two words which looks like this. Okay, so if someone will ask you that how you are going to do these things, so for to make all these things we have the different primitives. If you want to go for your surface tessellations, it looks like in the similar way like how your surface mesh will be look like, but the thing is that like the primitives will be different. That also we will see because it is there in your lab exercise. So we are going to use all these things. Moving towards the next one, here we are going to see the polygon. Okay, so in this polygon we have, see, already we know the meaning of polygon. We have already used the primitive GL underscore polygon. Okay, so why I'm telling you again about this polygon, because we are going little more depth inside this polygon. Okay, here you can see if someone will ask you what do you mean by polygon, so how you are going to answer it. You have to tell that it's a planar shape. I can tell also, no, it is on my surface. But if anything will be on the surface, I cannot call it as my polygon, because the plane is always a closed thing, closed, like you can say that, which will have some edge or face or vertex points which will be present on your surface. Okay, so that's the meaning. I cannot take the term surface if I want to define the polygon. So what do you mean by polygon now? You can say that it's a planar shape, because on a plane it will have one kind of your shape. And also it can be defined a sequence of three or more vertices which can be connected like your line segments. So you know how to define a line segments. It can have the edge or it can have the sides. So in this way, you are going to define your polygon. Whenever you will write any definitions, it has to be majorly measured by your technical words, so that whenever like in any evaluators will read your definition, they will understand very clearly. Okay. Second point will be the polygon. You can say that there will be a standard polygon, or you can say that there will be a simple polygon. But there will be no crossing edge. That you have to remember. There will be no crossing edge. If you have crossing edge, then that is a different polygon. Okay. So in my standard and simple polygon, there will be no crossing edge. So this is a important point which you are going to remember, because this one can come for your Viva question. Okay. Moving towards your next slide. Here you can see some of the regular polygons. I hope you people are writing it down, because it is very important thing. Now you just write it down. I'll be also slow. Regular polygon. Okay. So what do you mean by regular polygon? First, I have already defined you that what do you mean by polygon, right? It will be on your planner. So here you can see that the vertices uniformly distributed over a circle. So the a polygon, we are going to check it out in with a circle. So you can see here 3 circles are there. Okay. So what I have done is, here I have kept some 3 vertex point on the boundary of my circle, and I have just connected with the line segments. Okay. So that is my first image, whatever I have shown you. In the second image, you can see I have some 4 vertex points I have chosen on the boundary of my circle, and I have just connected everything, and I have taken the center point of the circle and connected to any of the vertex point, which is going to act as the radius of my circle. Okay, so here I have defined this one like this. I have one more circle here where I have kept a uniformly distributed a number of points, and I have connected everything. And we have already seen in our last slide that the polygon will not have any kind of your crossing edge. So here there is no crossing edge. So I can say that it's a polygon now. Okay. So now how I'm going to write the definition by using the equations. Okay. So here you have to remember, as it is present on your circle, so definitely there will be a value of your theta. Okay. And if you want to write, it has to validate on your cos theta and sin theta. That is a formula. So if I want to go according to my x-axis and y-axis, let's take my point name is px and py, and my I value is increasing uniformly. So my I value will be equals to 1 to n. Why I have taken? Because if I take the for loop, always my I value will get increased according to my theta value. Okay. So if I will increase this according to my theta value, then I can form a circle. Fine. So now here I have taken these 2 points. Like my coordinate point is pxi comma pyi. So now I have told you that I have to rotate it, right, to form a circle. Then what I have to do, as I have taken the radius value, let's take it as r cos theta. Okay, so instead of my theta value, it's a 2 pi, right? 2 pi in the sense pi value, 180 degree, and 2 pi in the sense it will be 360 degree. And the n value, n is nothing but number of like vertex point, whatever you have given. So if I want to calculate with the I, if I multiply the I value with that, then how many vertex point I have selected, it will just touch all the vertex points. Okay, that is the reason I have written r cos, this is my theta value, comma r sin, this is my again theta value. Okay, and where the I varies from 1 to n. So this is the formula for your regular polygon. Now we have 2 different things, that is my convex and concave. Okay. So you can get a 6 marks of question on your convex and concave, and you have to write the definitions, you have to write the difference between that, you have to show in terms of your diagram also. Now let's see what you mean by the convex. Remember, convex will be inside your convex, all interior angles will be less than 180 degree. Okay, what is that? You can see here. Let's take it as this example, this diagram. So here I have the angles, right? Can you see my angles here? So here this is my one of the angle, this is one of my angle, and also this is also can be called as my angle. Here also one more angles, here also one more angle, here also one more angle, right? So all these things are my interior angles. But if I want to go for my suppose exterior angle, so what will be my exterior angle? This one will be my exterior angle. Okay, so here if what is the convex means? Convex in the sense all interior angles will be less than will be less than 180 degree. Okay, so you have to see that if any one of the angle is one less than 180 degree, then you can call that this image is a convex. Okay, and there is one more point, that is all line segments between two interior points in polygon. Okay, all line segments between two interior points. See, there are two, all the interior angles are there, right? And you can see all are your line segments, because there is a start and stop button of your all the line segments. There is only fixed vertex point, so it is a line segment. So now if I want to draw the diagram, I'll just show you. See here, this is your one line segment, this is your another line segment, right? So you have formed this one, this angle, right? So that has to be counted. Again here also you have, and again here also you have two line segment, right? It is a fixed point over here, so you can say this is also your interior angle. So you have, there should be a form of your interior angles in between your line segments. That is the point of second point. Third point says that all point at the same side of line through the edge, and from each interior point can complete a boundary which is visible. So now you can see everything is closed, right? And you can visualize the boundary. So as you can visualize, there is no open side, you can call it as your convex. Okay, but what do you mean by concave? Concave means which is not a convex, that is a concave. So here whatever the points has written, all the opposite thing of these all 4 points is known as your concave. So now we have so many problems, because on your concave and convex you are going to get a problem. Okay, I'll just show you how you are going to do it. So now here you can see first one, all interior angles. If this is also example, you can take all are interior angles for the first point. Second point, you see all the line segments between two interior points in the polygon. So see here also you can form the line segments. Now you see the another point, all points are the same side of line through a edge. This is also kind of your edge. Okay, now next point also you see, from each interior point, complete the boundary which is visible. So here also you can connect. There are multiple points on your boundary also inside the polygon also. So you can take everything and you can find out which one is your convex, which one is your concave. Okay. Now we are going to solve the puzzle here. So now this given planar polygon is in 3D. Let's take it as this one is in 3D. So whatever the color lines you can see, that is according to your this puzzle. Okay. Now we have the vertices point. Let's take it as your PI, with where the I varies from your 1 to n. So now what you are going to do, you have to define that if the polygon is concave or convex. Remember one thing, here the questions will be in such a way that where the answers you have to write in a paragraph wise, where always you are going to define it in lines. There will be no equation for this, okay? But you are going to explain. If it happens with that, what will happen? If the line crosses the another line, what will happen? How many lines you are going to form into this? All these things, explanations you need to write while solving the puzzle of your convex and concave. Okay, here also you can see one more puzzle is there. Suppose like if it is like this, so here how you are going to solve it, what is the solution for this? So now let's take Q is another point where the incremental point is I plus 1. If I want to do the product of that, it has to be greater than 0, where for all I equals to 1 to n. Okay, so with that, so how you are going to find out the convex? Here we have to do the Cartesian products. So here this is my Qi, which is equals to, this is the formula, the existing point minus the decremented point, which is going to be a Cartesian product with your incremented points minus your existing point. If it happens and if you get this value, then you can say that that point, that planar, whatever polygon you have got, it is a convex. Otherwise, it will be a concave. So here you have to assume your like P of I plus N equals to Pi. Okay. So all this theory part you have to write. Always multiple solutions are possible. You can see here, there are many varieties of solutions are there. You have to write in this way always the answers. Okay. In your book also you can find out one more way of solutions. All the solutions will be right. There will be no wrong that how you are defining that the like planar polygon is a convex or concave. Okay, but you have to write the proper justification towards that. Now here you can see that I have told you that we are going to read the splitting, how we are going to split the concave polygon now. So now here you just walk along with your vertices and determine if the corner is convex or concave. So now let's take, this is your Pi point, this side it is a Pi plus 1, that side it is a Pi minus 1, because this side it will be a positive side and on the top it will be a negative side. Okay. So here suppose the angle whatever has been formed, which angle? Pi minus 1, Pi and Pi plus 1. It means that which angle it is forming here? You can see this angle it is forming, right? So now it is a concave. How you came to know it is a concave? Because it is not inside the polygon, it is the outside of the polygon. And convex says that if any angle is inside and that too that is less than 180 degree, right? Here we have seen, you can go back and you can see here all the interior angles are less than 180 degree. So but here what is happening? This is a outside of the angle, it is the exterior part. So now here you can say directly that it is a concave. So now I just want to split this polygon along with my line, this line, which is your Pi minus 1 and Pi. So how I'm going to do it? So I'll just put one line over here and I can divide it. Can you see? Now this is one part, this is another part, right? This side, and it will become open. So if it becomes open, then you can see, you can say that it will be a convex, because if I'll just divide it like this and I'll just close this, then this part of my polygon can be a, like one polygon can be splitted into two polygons. Okay, in this way you are just going to split by along with your line which you are going to do or draw on your planar surface. Okay, so in this way you are going to split the polygon. Now here you can see I have a convex polygon which I'm going to split it into the triangles. So now how I'm going to do? We know that to make any triangle we should have the 3 vertex points. Okay, so first you have to pick 3 succeeding points. Fine. Then you have to join all the outside ones with a line, and then you have to remove the middle point until the 3 points are left over. How you're going to do? Now I have picked these 3 points. Okay, now what I will do, I'll just join this. Can you see? Now my convex polygon became a triangle. I have splitted it. Next what I'm going to do, I'll just discard this, remove the middle point. Okay, next what I'm going to do, again I have to pick, you can see again I have picked another point and I have joined it, and this became one more triangle. Then I have removed this. Next what I'm going to do, I have joined with this, right? Any point. Then what I'm going to do, the middle point I'm going to remove it. Then what I'm going to do, I have joined this point. You can join anywhere, but we just want that 3 points has to be is needed for your triangles. Then just remove any point. Okay, so in this way you can choose any point in any sequence and you are going to split the convex polygon into your triangles. There is no methodology that you are going to follow in this way or that way. but you can do it according to you. And you should know the rules that the triangle needs your 3 vertex point and the middle vertex point. Once you will join with a line, the middle vertex point, you are going to remove it. Okay. Now you can see the difference between your convex and concave polygons, how it looks like. Here, this is one example where the interior point is less than 180 degree. It means that it is a convex polygon. Okay. Here you can see the concave polygon where you can see it is greater than your 180 degree, interior angle. Then definitely, as it is greater than 180 degree, but it is inside, but still we cannot call it as your convex polygon. It will be a concave polygon. Okay. So this is the way of knowing how knowing the convex and concave polygons. So this is one more example I have here. So this one used to come in your exam. You just write it down, all of you. The question can be in terms of your paragraph also. Okay. So there you have to identify your concave polygon. So you can see in my diagram, there is a x-axis, there is a y-axis. And what I'm going to do is I have to calculate the cross product of successive pairs of edge vectors. Okay. There will be the vertex point, there will be the edge, okay, edge vectors. So now you can see wherever the edge vectors are going towards that, we have to move in that way. So first point is my v1, and you can see here z axis is not there. As the third axis is not there, we have to calculate everything on your z axis. So before starting with identifying any of the concave polygon, first you have to see on which plane your object is present. So here my object is present in my x and y axis, okay, x and y planar surface. So here I have to consider xy plane. That's the reason my z axis is 0. Now you can see I have just moved from v1 to v2 where my edge is e1 and then e2. So what will happen here? It has formed the angle, right? So E1 cross E2, as I'm going to identify the concave polygon, it has to be more than your 0. It has to be greater than 0. And also it has to be greater than your 180 degree. So you can write directly your 180 degree. What you are thinking, can it be a more than 180 or not? You can see like this, right? So if I want to form here, just a minute, I'll just do it. Here you can see, now I have done like this. Okay, so this one will be a 90 degree, right? So now if any plane comes like this side also 90, this side is also 45. So as 90 plus 45, you can say 135 degree. As it is totally, it is 135 degree, then it is greater than 0, right? So you can say that it is a like convex because it is less than 180 degree, right? So here we have written greater than 0. Next, again in the similar way, you have to consider the next edge system E2 and E3 greater than 0. Then E3 comma E4. If I'm going in this way, you can see I'm not inside my inside my object. I'm just outside angle I'm calculating, right? E3 to E4. Otherwise, you can calculate this side also. So it will be less than 0. Then again, this side you have to calculate, then just move in this way, then E5 to E6, then E6 to E1. So in this way, you are going to form your cross product by using your successive edge vectors. So this kind of question also you can get where you are going to write in a paragraph that we have these x and y planes and we don't have the z plane. So z axis is 0 and this object is present in my xy plane. I have here some 6 vertex points. We have 6 vertex point and 6 edge vectors. While starting calculating with the cross product, I got this, you are getting this, write down all this, and which shows that we can identify a concave polygon. Okay. So in this way, if you will write, you can get 4 or 5 marks. Fine. So till here, I just completed. So next class, we are going to see one more problem. So this is a problem actually, which we are going to do it in the next class. And I hope you people have understood. So if you have not understood, you can let me know. I'll just clarify it once again. Thank you.